What's going on? It's your man Louie T here in the lab room, checking out some Redskin game footage from the Week 3 win over the Green Bay Packers. Taking a look at the Redskins on defense on the first possession of the game. Redskins were very fortunate throughout the course of this game. And on the first possession, it was never more present than on a 3rd down and 9 situation at the end of this possession. We'll get to that play a little bit later on. But of course, want to take a look at all of the plays that led up to that 3rd and 9 drop by Randall Cobb. And so we start with the very first play on the Packers offensive possession. And so we'll take a look at what the Packers come out in. They come out in a trips set, 3 receivers to one side. They're sending Geronimo Allison in motion. If you watched my Redskins offensive video versus the Packers, and we discussed players going in motion and what that means in terms of coverage. As you can see, Geronimo Allison going in motion across the formation. No one is following him. So that tells you automatically that this is some form of zone coverage. Now, what is this? Is it cover 2? Is it cover 3? Is it cover 4? Is it some form of zone with man principles? Hard to tell. But you know that it's some form of zone just by looking at Geronimo Allison go into motion and no one following him across the formation. So we'll let this play out. We'll come back and we'll break this thing down and talk about why the Redskins were able to force an incompletion on this play. So let's take a look at this play and let it play out. So what you'll see here is a little blitz off the edge by Monte Nicholson, and it's his contain that forces Aaron Rodgers to get rid of the football. And as you'll see now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this to the all-22 look so you can get a better view of why Aaron Rodgers threw this football away. So as I described before, trips formation, you're going to see Geronimo Allison go in motion across the formation. And remember, we had a big issue with communication in Week 2 versus the Colts. Look at DJ Swearinger getting everyone lined up as Geronimo Allison goes in motion. And what you'll find is that this play now shifts to cover 3. Dunny at the bottom of the screen is going to have a 1/3 of the field. Josh Norman at the top of the screen is going to have a 1/3 of the field. And DJ Swearinger will have the middle 1/3 of the field. And I'll stop it here as we'll take a look at what's about to happen. So Fabian Moreau is going to, along with the 2 linebackers in the middle of the field, Zach Brown and Mason Foster, they're all going to be zone or pattern matching. And all that means is when a guy is in your zone, you just run with him until he is no longer in your zone. Fabian Moreau pretty much is playing man on this particular play as he'll be running with that receiver for the duration of this play. But if you watch what the 2 linebackers do inside, they're going to combo this route off. So once you see the receiver, Geronimo Allison, run across the face of Zach Brown, he's going to pick him up until he gets into the zone of Mason Foster, who then pattern matches Geronimo Allison and runs with him for the duration of the play. You'll watch Monte Nicholson come with the blitz off the corner. It was his pressure that allowed Aaron Rodgers to go outside, but great job by Monte Nicholson of getting back to the outside and forcing Aaron Rodgers to get rid of the football. I will tell you this much. A healthy Aaron Rodgers stops, plants, and takes a shot down the field. He had 2 options. I think he would have went after Dunny on that deep post backside with Devontae Adams. But also he had an opportunity as Josh Norman kind of fell asleep behind the wheel in cover 3. You don't want anybody getting behind you. You're supposed to be deeper than the deepest. He kind of fell asleep behind the wheel, allowed the tight end Jimmy Graham to get on top of him. But I think he felt like this is a tight end. I can run with him. If he throws this football, I'll be able to get back into the play. But nonetheless, this is how this play unfolds. Let's take a look. So you see the linebackers switch off. Then you see Zach Brown stop, turn, and pivot as the other receiver, Randall Cobb, comes into his zone and Brown starts to run with him as well. DJ Swearinger kind of playing center field, splitting the difference between the two deep routes. And so there's nothing here. That's why Rodgers essentially threw it away. With his leg being the way that it is, he's not going to take that shot down the field. Too much strain and stress would be put on his leg at that point. So you've got to love what the Redskins were able to do there, forcing the incompletion. Here's another look at the play from the all 22 view of the end zone. And you look at them, they're communicating. You see Swearinger telling Monte Nicholson to come up, go up. You see Josh Norman also respond, and it's a form of cover three. As I said, you're going to see Allison come across the formation. Brown initially pick him up, pass him off to Mason Foster, who runs with him. You'll see coming across the other direction of the screen, Fabian Moreau pretty much manned up with Randall Cobb. So watch how this unfolds. Brown initially picks up the receiver. Then he passes him off to Mason Foster, who runs with him. And then you see Brown see the receiver coming into his direction. He takes it away initially. Rodgers may have had something there with Cobb, but Fabian Moreau closely in trail technique. Rodgers doesn't like what he sees, grounds it, lives to fight another day. Redskins force 2nd and 10. One of the biggest bugaboos watching the Redskins in this week 3 contest versus the Green Bay Packers was the amount of space available to the Packers in the run game. And some of the coaching staff alluded to wanting to die a slow death and not allow Rodgers to pick them apart. So they were inviting them to run the football with the way that they were aligned pre-snap. I don't know if I necessarily buy it or not, but when you look at some of the alignments of the Redskins and this wide 9 technique and the amount of space that is between each player along the defensive line, you're really looking at a situation where these splits are huge. You're talking about a gap and a half worth of space between each player on the defensive line. You'll get a better look at it from a different angle as we go through this play. But if you're going to give up that type of space and your linebackers aren't going to do a great job of filling, and your ends aren't going to do a great job of pinching down and restricting the amount of space on that outside gap, that C gap, you're going to have huge cutback lanes like we saw on this particular play. Let's take a look at a 2nd and 10 after a great stop on first down to set up 2nd and long. The Redskins throw it away by giving up 10 yards on a run. Let's take a look. So as you saw there, 10 yards for the running back, Williams, and you don't want to give up those kinds of runs. And Jamal Williams is a quality back, but not one that should be digging you a new asshole. So let's take a look. Look at this split. Okay, look at these splits. And again, this is sort of a wide 9 technique. You got your ends outside of the tackles at an angle, so you're looking at a wide 9 stance. But when you have guys in that wide 9 stance, they're supposed to crash inward and restrict that outside gap, that C gap, so that there isn't a ridiculous cutback lane, as you'll see on this play. 2 people are to blame for this run here. And I want you to take a look at what Jonathan Allen does first. Jonathan Allen is rounding into form as one of the best defensive linemen in our division. And it's plays like this that go unnoticed because he didn't actually make the play. But if other guys were doing their job on the backside of this play, you would be able to see just how good Jonathan Allen was on this particular play. So we're going to spotlight him first, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the 2 culprits that allowed this run to get out of hand. But let's look at Jonathan Allen and what he did on this play. Watch him blow this thing up initially and force the cutback of this running back. Beats the center across his face, and voila, that running back has no choice but to cut it back. Look at the amount of space. You could have driven a 18-wheeler through that cutback lane. Let's go backwards though and take a look at why there was so much space there for him to maneuver. And so Allen blows the play up, turns the running back into where he perceives there will be help. Take a look at Zach Brown on this play. All right. Take a look at Zach Brown. Look at Zach Brown overrun this play, overrun the gap, and allow the cutback lane. Zach Brown needed to stay home and wait to make sure that he wasn't going to overrun this play. He was being over aggressive, and it cost him on this play. Look at Zach Brown immediately go to where he thinks the back is going to go, creating a massive cutback lane. Let's take a look at this. Look at Zach Brown over committing and allowing himself to get caught up in the wash. And voila, you've got a massive cutback lane. Now let's take a look at the other culprit on this play, because this is something that you see from Ryan Kerrigan way too often. It's one of my biggest pet peeves with him, is that this guy does a lot of loafing and lollygagging on the backside of run plays. And this is what happens when you do that. So check out Ryan Kerrigan on this play. First of all, he's outside of the tight end. You can't allow a tight end. And again, Kerrigan's got a twofold responsibility here. One, make sure you keep contained and spill everything back inside, but also you need to restrict that gap. That cutback lane can't be the size of the Milky Way. You've got to constrict that cutback lane and be there coming down the line to make this tackle. Watch Kerrigan half-ass his way off the line of scrimmage, play footsie with Jimmy Graham for a second, and allow this run to take place. Keep your eyes on Ryan Kerrigan here. Ryan Kerrigan needed to be coming like a bat out of hell down the line right there. He is nowhere to be found on this play, and that allows, in conjunction with Zach Brown guessing wrong, allows this run to go for 10 yards. And again, these are the types of runs that drive you nuts, especially after you're able to hold a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers to an incompletion on first down and set up second and long. Those are the ones that make you upset. So after the run by Jamal Williams to give the Packers a fresh set of downs on 2nd and 10, look at our guy once again. I thought this was one of his better games as a professional here in Jonathan Allen. Watch this guy beat the guard off the snap and not give Aaron Rodgers a chance on this play action fake. Before Rodgers could even turn around and set his feet, Allen and Preston Smith were having a meeting of the minds at the quarterback. Allen's move to get to the quarterback, much more impressive than that of Preston Smith. Nonetheless, both of the guys got there, and this was fun to see. Again, we love any kind of pressure we can get. We don't get enough of it. Allen is coming, and this was one of his breakout games. Let's take a look at what Jonathan Allen does here. We're going to let this play through. We'll come back and we'll analyze what he was able to do on this football play. So as they run it back, take a look at Allen defeat the block of the guard. And this is what we talk about at Alabama with those guys having a black belt in hand usage. You get hand usage when you go to Alabama. Jonathan Allen had some great hands coming into the league, which is rare for college football players. And so watch him defeat the block of the guard by simply using his hands to get to Aaron Rodgers on his play before Rodgers could even set up shop. Let's take a look. Guard tries to set. Allen slaps the hands down, rips through, beats him up the field, gets to Aaron Rodgers. And if you take a look as we go right back, you take a look at Preston Smith and how he was able to win on this play. He simply just gets a nice pass from this tight end here. Tight end stood no chance. He set outside. He overset to the outside, gave Preston Smith an easy lane inside. Smith said, "Don't mind if I do." Straight direct line to the quarterback. Him and Allen both get to Rodgers. But it was a beautiful play by Allen to beat the guard off the snap, knock his hands down, rip through, get to Rodgers. We need more of these plays if we want to take the next step as a defense. So after the sack, we find ourselves in 2nd and 17. Redskins have put the Packers for the second consecutive set of downs in a 2nd and long situation. This one much longer than the 2nd and 10 they created on the first set of downs. So at 2nd and 17, the Packers here just look at this as, hey, we've got 2 downs to get 17 yards. They're not looking to get it all back here. And so they come out in a formation with 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end, 1 back in the backfield next to Rodgers, who is in the shotgun formation. And this is the dreaded buzzword. This is the term that's being thrown around the league. And this is the thing that we hear so often now when we're watching games, the dreaded RPO. And that's what the Packers run here. And you can run an RPO in one of 2 ways with your offensive line. This is how you know that it's an RPO. When the offensive line is run blocking and they throw a pass, that's how you know it was a run pass option. The quarterback has the ability to either hand it off to the running back or pull it out of the belly of the back and find a wide receiver. On this play, the Packers' entire line, everyone is run blocking except for Davante Adams, who's going to simply run a smoke screen. That's essentially what it is when you just raise up after the snap, turn around, quarterback gets you the football quickly, and you do the rest. And so Rodgers looked up at Quentin Dunbar and saw how far off he was playing on this play and said, hey, I can get the sack yardage back and maybe then some with Davante Adams' ability to make guys miss out in space. Maybe he can make him miss, pick up an additional 8 or 9 yards, and all of a sudden we're sitting at 3rd and 3, or maybe even get a first down out of it. But in any event, we're at least going to get the sack yardage back and get us back into 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, something of that sort, if I just get it to him quickly. And so you'll see that the Packers decide to throw it here instead of running it, but they had a run pass option installed. In other situations, you'll see half of the offensive line run blocking, the other half pass blocking. But in this case, the Packers' entire unit is run blocking, and the only guy not run blocking was the guy that ended up getting the football in Davante Adams. Let's run it, and we'll come back and take a look at it. So you see there, Dunny pretty much gave up about 8 to 9 yards of real estate at the snap. So let's run this back and take a look at what happened on this play. So if you focus on the Packers offensive line, you'll see that they're run blocking on this play. Take a look at this line. Everyone is run blocking except Davante Adams, who catches the football and then gets up the field. So this was the RPO. And they ended up getting what they set out to get on this play, which was the sack yardage back. And so now you set yourself up in a 3rd and long situation still, but it's a lot more manageable than, say, 3rd and 13 if you were only able to gain 4 yards. Or say you throw a pass and it's incomplete. Now it's 3rd and 17 and you're running a give-up play. So the Packers feel better about 3rd and 9 than they do 3rd and, let's say, 13. So I purposely started this play at this moment because after the catch, they hurry up to the line of scrimmage. And remember, in the playoff game back in 2015, Rodgers caught us napping on a 3rd down when we were up big, and they got the first down, and they never looked back in the game. Rodgers was looking to do it again here. However, we were able to get our guys onto the field and get set. So he reset the offense, but initially he was going to snap the football. But let's take a look at this play now and look at what the Packers are in here. So they've got 3 receivers to the top of the screen, 2 receivers and a tight end and Jimmy Graham. Down at the bottom, you've got Davante Adams as the only receiver at the bottom of the screen. So it's a 3-by-1 setup for the Green Bay Packers. And this is something new for the Redskins this year. Remember, the Redskins didn't want to pay Zach Brown the money that he was looking for in the offseason because he's a 2-down linebacker. Last year, Zach Brown was a liability in obvious passing situations. Teams would pick on him and he would always be out of position. So the adjustment the Redskins made this year is using number 40, Josh Harvey Clemens, in obvious passing situations. They love his athleticism. They love his length and his ability to run. And what you saw with him in this game was a ton of blitzing by Josh Harvey Clemens, but he's also a guy that can run with the running back. And so on this particular play, the running back stays in the block. Josh Harvey Clemens had him man to man because, as you can see, it's man to man across the board. Everybody's locked up with their guy across the board. And so Josh Harvey Clemens has the running back man to man. That's why he's lined up right in front of him. And when the running back stays in the block, Josh Harvey Clemens gets the green light. They call it a green dog blitz when you're allowed to basically delay and then blitz. Once you realize the running back isn't going into the passing route, you can then go after the quarterback. So we'll take a look at this. This is one of those plays where the Redskins caught a break in this game. We talked about all of the different breaks the Redskins caught in this game from mishaps by the Packers. This was the first of many on the afternoon as Randall Cobb beat Fabian Moreau across his face on the over route, had the first down and then some, and simply dropped the football. Let's take a look. So look, that's pretty solid coverage by Fab Moreau, okay? Pretty solid coverage, but he got beat, and it happens. You can have really good coverage and still get beat in this league. As you'll take a look here, he's in great position. Cobb gives him a little stutter outside and is able to break him off, gives him a subtle push. That's a veteran move, and it's all good. And the ball is right there. Fab is there as well, but he's there late. It should have been a grab, but it's a wet day. Randall Cobb had a rough day, and we'll take it any way we can get it. And the Redskins get off the field here with this drop on 3rd and 9. Now, this play didn't occur on the final possession of the game, but I still want you guys to take a look. I alluded to this on the R3 about the Redskins knowing that Aaron Rodgers was going to take full advantage of our over-aggressiveness and use it against us. Remember, DJ Swearinger had 2 exceptional picks versus the Colts a week ago. And so Jay Gruden knew that this potentially was coming. And as a wise man once told me, when you know, you know. And so take a listen to Jay Gruden on the Jay Gruden Coaches Show a week prior to this game.
I know you love the 3D film. Man. So I got you a little 3D film of DJ Swearinger here in the middle of the field making a nice play for a pick. And we'll break it down. You ready for this?
Yeah.
You ready? Oh.
That's nice.
Oh.
Nice play. Oh. Heads up, Monte.
He's not blocking anybody, I'll tell you that right.
They're looking for somebody. They're looking.
Big time play. I love this by Swearinger. I think this is super smart because you have this dagger concept where you get the in behind the crossing route. I think this guy probably could have went a little higher. And then outside, you get a comeback. He knows. It's a risk for him right now, taking this risk right here.
It is a risk.
He knows the play.
You know, I think Aaron Rodgers sees us, and they'll probably have a play where they run a dagger and this guy in a deep post over the top or something like that. So we got to make sure we're safe. But if he sees it, route reads it, progression, makes a break, and believes what he sees, man, I'm all for it. Be aggressive back there.
So let's take a look at the play that Jay Gruden pretty much foreshadowed on his coach's show before this game took place. So essentially, he knew that Aaron Rodgers was a smart enough quarterback to be able to bait DJ Swearinger into this type of play. The concept that they ran here was similar to the one the Colts ran a week ago that Swearinger was able to step in front of and pick it off. You'll see the outside receiver, Geronimo Allison, run like he's going to run a dig route, similar to the one DJ Swearinger picked off last week. Then he goes up the field. Swearinger commits to trying to undercut the route. Allison takes it up the field. Josh Norman, expecting safety help to the inside, obviously doesn't get it because Swearinger guessed wrong. Your end result, a 61-yard touchdown. Redskins were up 21-3 at the time of this play. Now that 21-3 lead turns to 21-10 that quickly. So again, these are situations you've got to avoid. You got to be smart. Jay Gruden and his coaching staff knew this was going to happen. I'm pretty sure they alerted DJ Swearinger, hey, don't be as aggressive this week. Rodgers knows you're going to try to undercut and jump that route. Stay at home. Swearinger could not help himself. And this is the end zone view of him trying to be aggressive and come up. Rodgers gives him a little fake there. He bites it. And so is the rest. Bam. Just like that. Geronimo Allison in stride. 61-yard touchdown. I just thought I'd show you this play because it was so ironic. I watched that like 2 or 3 days before this game. And to see it actually come to fruition, when you know, you know.